What is up, guys? Tony Picks here with another upload. Pretty last minute on this one, but I've been studying the fight, so I figured I'd get the prediction video out. It's going to be super quick, and I'm not really going to be editing the video. I want to keep it under 10 minutes. So let's get right into it. Full fight card, guys. Kicking off the fight card, we got Veronica Macedo with Polyana Viana. Pretty straight up, both these fighters have Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu backgrounds. I do believe that Polyana is stronger in terms of grappling strength and better positioning on the ground. Veronica does put herself in bad positions on the ground. She gives up her back pretty easily. Fairly easy to take down. So in terms of the wrestling and actual ground game, I'm going to give the edge to Polyana Viana. In terms of the stand-up, both of these fighters are kind of underwhelming. Veronica Macedo has kind of a taekwondo stance, throws a good left high kick. Polyana Viana, awkward stance, throws a good left cross. But Veronica Macedo is a southpaw, and Polyana Viana is orthodox. So it's an open stance for these fighters, or it might be vice versa. Either way, I see this fight playing out on the feet. This is a toss-up because really what it goes down to is who's going to be more aggressive. And if Polyana Viana implements the takedown. If Polyana Viana tries to grapple and take down Veronica, I think she'll be able to win points and win rounds. But if she decides to stand up, I think Veronica Macedo will get the better of Polyana just based off of sheer volume and the amount she throws. So with that being said, guys, I'm going to give my decision here to Polyana Viana. The reason I say that is because like I said, it is a toss-up. It could go to Veronica Macedo, but I think that Veronica Macedo puts herself in bad positions when she gets taken down, and I think that Polyana Viana is someone who can capitalize on those. So I see Polyana Viana getting a late submission in this fight, although, like I said, could go either way. Could be a boring stand-up point fight, but I do see Polyana Viana going for the takedown, landing the takedown, Veronica Macedo putting herself in bad positions, and Viana wrapping up the submission. Moving on to the next bout, you got Alexis Silva against Kazula Vargas. Mr. Vargas is a last-minute replacement. Rafael Fizdev was supposed to fight Alexis Silva. Pretty straightforward matchup. Alexis Silva is better everywhere. A lot more polished stand-up fighter. Good kickboxing, a decent ground game, even though he did get submitted in his last fight. So with that being said, I'm going to give the unanimous decision victory to Alexis Silva. He's just a lot better. Mr. Vargas is a stand-up fighter. I think that Alexis Silva is a lot more polished, a lot more experienced, and he's not fighting on short notice. Moving on to the next bantamweight bout, you got Chris Gutierrez against Geraldo de Freitas. Interesting bout. Geraldo de Freitas has some good BJJ, but doesn't usually shoot for the takedowns or the wrestling. Has some decent stand-up. But I'm going against the grain here. I'm going to lock my decision in with Chris Gutierrez. I think his movement gets the job done here. So I think he's going to be able to land the crisper shots, avoid the big shots from Geraldo de Freitas. He's not that bad off of his back in terms of ground game. Gutierrez, he did get submitted against Raoni Barcelos, but he was fighting pretty well up until he did get submitted, landed a nasty elbow off of his back to Barcelos. So I see Gutierrez basically just using his movement to outpoint Geraldo de Freitas, land the cleaner shots, use his leg kick, and get the dub. So Chris Gutierrez via decision. Moving on to the next flyweight bout, we got Raulian Paiva against Rogerio Bontorin. Rogerio Bontorin coming off of an impressive win over Magomed Babitilov, I'm pretty sure. He was a huge underdog. I actually had Rogerio Bontorin winning that fight, and he did win the fight. So I won some money off of that underdog. But this year is a different matchup, man. Raulian Paiva, he's training over at Alpha Male. So his takedown defense is solid. The guy's got wicked stand-up. Honestly, I think he won that fight against Kai Kara France, and I had a bet for Kai Kara France. I think Raulian used his leg kick very well. Although he did get taken down, popped right back up to his feet, landed some decent shots. So I really see his stand-up being the difference here. I think that Rogerio Bontorin is going to try to obviously use his submissions and look for the takedown. Mix it up standing up, but I think that Raulian Paiva is just going to keep his range, land the cleaner shots. He's got really good leg kicks, and he's going to be able to avoid the takedown. Obviously, training at or alpha male training with solid wrestlers on a daily basis, getting good looks. I think that that's really improved his game, and he's a young fighter. So I'm going against the grain. Or no, this is actually a pick'em fight, but I'm going to lock in my decision with Raulian Paiva. Next matchup, women's strawweight, TECIA Torres, Marina Rodriguez. I'm going to give TECIA Torres the unanimous decision win here. She may even get the submission. Marina Rodriguez is a stand-up fighter. So I see TECIA Torres kind of moving in and out a lot quicker than Marina. Marina hasn't really fought anyone at this level, and if you look at TECIA Torres' loss, they've all come to champions like Rose Namajunas, or not Rose, Jessica Andrade, Wei Li Zhang, and Joanna Jędrzejczyk. So she's lost to three champions, you know what I mean? She is the top level fighter, just not really a breakthrough like top 3 fighter in TECIA Torres. So I see her landing the takedowns, landing some ground and pound, and possibly getting a submission on Marina Rodriguez, although TECIA Torres is kind of a decision machine, so that's why I'm leaning more towards the decision. But with that being said, I'm going to lock in the unanimous decision or submission victory to TECIA Torres. Next bout is a heavyweight bout between Cyril Cane and Rafael Pesos Nunes. Cyril Cane by knockout. No footage on Rafael Nunes. And Cyril Cane is a beast, trains with Francis Ngannou over in Paris. Gilbert Burns against Alexei Kunchenko. So this fight, guys, is one that I've done a lot of homework on. And if you guys are seriously interested in betting, put some money on Gilbert Burns via submission here. The reason I say that is if you watch Alexei Kunchenko's fights, obviously he's undefeated, has a decent stand-up, but the guy really isn't anything impressive. Kind of underwhelming, doesn't fight at a huge pace, doesn't land huge shots. Sorry if I'm moving, I'm actually just grabbing my charger here so this shit doesn't die mid-recording. But Alexei Kunchenko doesn't land big shots. He does throw decent kicks, but doesn't land significant shots. Really a boring stand-up fighter to watch. Gilbert Burns, on the other hand, keeps making significant improvements over at Henry Hoof's, just improving his stand-up. You already know he's a dog on the ground, but you're starting to see more and more his stand-up improving. So I think what this is it's only a matter of Gilbert Burns getting Alexei Kunchenko to the ground and submitting him. I think that he'll be able to avoid Kunchenko's big shots because he doesn't really throw significant big shots. Take him on the ground and bully him on the ground. Gilbert Burns is the underdog in this fight, a pretty heavy underdog at that, so I'm going to be placing some money on Gilbert Burns. Main fight card, featherweight matchup, Bobby Moffett, Enrique Barzola. So basically in Bobby Moffett, you have a submission specialist, and in Enrique Barzola, you have kind of like this wrestler who's going to come at you nonstop, tough, keep pressing, keep pressing, keep pressing. So you have two choices. Do you go with the wrestler who's going to keep coming at you, throw volume, land the takedowns, be in your face all day, or do you kind of bet on that submission specialist to lock it in? What it comes down to for me, and the reason I'm leaning and I'm going to pick Bobby Moffett, is because Bobby Moffett isn't just a submission specialist. He's really good with front chokes, and I think that the way Enrique Barzola shoots in for his takedowns, sometimes he shoots in lazy, especially near the later part of the rounds, and he leaves his neck kind of high up inside of that armpit and to the side of the body. So I can see Bobby Moffett locking up a submission early in the first or late in one of the rounds. But I could very well see Enrique Barzola winning a unanimous decision, just grinding out Bobby Moffett, taking him down repeatedly, avoiding the takedowns. But that's what betting's all about. You can kind of pick whoever you want, and Bobby Moffett happens to be the underdog in this. So with that being said, I'm going to lock in the submission victory to Bobby Moffett. Next matchup here, Rodolfo Vieira and Oscar Piechota. Piechota kind of been around the UFC a few fights. Rodolfo Vieira, first fight in the UFC. For those of you who don't know, Vieira is kind of world-renowned for his jiu-jitsu, a really good jiu-jitsu practitioner, which is interesting because Oscar Piechota also is a jiu-jitsu practitioner in his own right. Obviously, Vieira is at a higher level, having competed outside the octagon in world championships. Interesting matchup because Rodolfo Vieira hasn't really seen the end of a fight. Kind of just takes guys down and submits them, but he's going against a jiu-jitsu specialist in his own right, who I don't think can compare to Rodolfo Vieira, but also someone who's been around in the UFC, has decent stand-up. Now, a lot of people that I know are leaning towards Rodolfo Vieira here via submission, and like, if Rodolfo Vieira wins, it's going to be by submission, I'm telling you that straight up. But I'm going to pick Oscar Piechota, and the reason I say that is because Rodolfo Vieira hasn't been tested. If you watch his footage, the guy's fought complete bums. This is his first fight in the UFC. He's a jiu-jitsu specialist, and the guy he's fighting isn't a slug in jiu-jitsu. The guy he's fighting is really good in jiu-jitsu. I'm not saying he's his level, but like I think that he'll be able to defend submissions enough to keep the fight standing and land big shots, because Rodolfo Vieira really doesn't have that good of stand-up fighting. So I'm going to give the unanimous decision to Oscar Piechota. Next match, Volkan Ozdemir, Ilir Latifi. I'm going to pick Volkan Ozdemir here. Bigger fighter will land the bigger shots. Ilir Latifi, he's going to need to get in close to really damage Volkan. And I think that that's where Volkan's most dangerous, when he's up close and he lands kind of those flurry of shots. So I see Volkan really just landing the bigger shots, having the better gas tank out of the two, even though both of them kind of have iffy gas tanks, and really just outclassing Ilir Latifi in this fight. Next matchup, Eduardo Gregori squaring off against Humberto Bandenay. I'm going to give the I'm going to give the TKO victory to Eduardo Gregori here. I think he takes down Humberto and beats him up. He's got really good ground and pound. Humberto Bandenay, coming off of 2 losses, kind of had a nice KO win in his first UFC fight. I forget who he fought. It was a tough Latin America fighter, but he was the underdog and he won. But yeah, I think Eduardo Gregori, the hometown fighter here, wins via ground and pound in the first or second round. Moving on to the co-main and main event. All right, guys, I'm going to lay it out for you right here. First up, co-main event, I'm going with Mike Perry. Let me tell you why. Vicente Luque takes too many shots. He gets hit way too much. We've seen that against Brian Barbanera, man. The guy got hit too many shots. And not just that, man. We've seen Brian Barbanera flip his shots and hit him with elbows. And I think that Mike Perry has some of the most lethal elbows in the game. And the way Vicente Luque covers up with kind of his hands touching his forehead a bit leaves him so open for crosses and elbows kind of on the right and left side of his guard that he keeps up. He also leaves his body open. I think that Vicente Luque is just there to be hit too much. He's too willing to brawl with fighters and kind of have confidence in his chin to where that's going to cost him against someone like Mike Perry, who I generally believe is one of the hardest hitting fighters in the UFC. Now, this isn't to say Vicente Luque doesn't change up his game, look for the takedowns, look for his darce, because he does have a wicked darce. Sorry. What am I saying? He does have a nice darce, so he may look for that. He may look for his submissions. I just think that if you look at Vicente Luque, his last few fights, man, the guy's willing to stand up, and he's shown that that's one of his strengths, stand up to where he's most comfortable, because he does make some mistakes when he is on the ground, although, like I said, he does have a nice darce, gives up position fairly easy. He'll go for the darce. He'll always look for that darce, and sometimes he'll end up on his back with his opponents on top of him. And with someone like Mike Perry, who's able to land big shots on top, that's kind of a gamble. So I really see the difference here being Mike Perry's power, his development in the last few fights we've seen against Alex Oliveira. He's able to pace himself. He's not going to throw the kitchen sink at you the full fight. So I think that with the way Vicente Luque blocks, I can see Mike Perry waiting for Vicente Luque to put up that kind of high guard that he does and just unloading on him, landing big shots, getting in close. And I really think that those elbows are going to be a key thing in this fight. So with that being said, I'm going to give the KO victory here to Mike Platinum Perry. Main event, Valentina Shevchenko versus Liz fucking Uriah Faber Carmouche. What can you say about this, man? Liz Carmouche, tough grappler. Valentina Shevchenko, one of the best strikers in the game. We've seen her have wicked submissions off of her back. Some nice wrestling too. She's starting to really make leaps and bounds in her wrestling/grappling game. We also, something to note too, is Antonina Shevchenko recently got a submission victory over Lucie Poldova. So that just kind of goes to show, like, the camp of the Shevchenko sisters, where they're training, you know what I mean? They're learning, because Antonina Shevchenko is a straight kickboxer, and now she's pulling out submissions. So you can only imagine with someone like Valentina at her level how much she's learning. So really what this comes down to is I think Valentina Shevchenko is just going to be able to pick apart Liz Carmouche with the striking, just land the kicks at will. I don't think that Valentina Shevchenko is going to be able to stuff all of Liz Carmouche's takedowns. I just think that she's going to be able to get right back up to her feet and just really wear on Liz Carmouche to where Liz Carmouche is paying for every shot she's shooting it. Although there is that chance that Liz Carmouche just comes in and completely, you know what I mean, shocks everyone, out-wrestles Valentina Shevchenko, outpoints her. I just don't think that's going to happen, man. Valentina Shevchenko is too strong. She does have submissions off of her back to threaten with if she does get taken down. And I think that her kicks are just too big of a difference here, man. Every time Liz Carmouche shoots for a takedown, she's going to be opening herself up for a kick, a knee, anything really. So I think that Valentina Shevchenko just has too many outlets here to win, whereas Liz Carmouche solely has that wrestling outpointing Shevchenko. And I think for 5 rounds, that's going to be a tough task to do for, someone who strikes like Valentina. Thank you guys for watching. That's my video. I hope it's not too long. Peace out.